racists are fighting amongst one another.
Is this the post about I'm a good? Did you see that post?
The Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy are obviously they're obviously defending the H-1B visas, and a lot of the people, a lot of the racist right wingers, including Sam Hyde.
Oh, thank you for talking about me.
Yeah, well, we don't want or need to turn this country into India, he says. And everyone is mad at Elon Musk and Vivek because they're Silicon Valley tech bros. And as Silicon Valley tech bros, of course, they love the H-1B visas.
Sure.
Because that's like most of their workforce. So now, many of them abuse the H-1B visas, of course. Elon Musk very famously fired basically every single person with the exception of the H-1B visa workers when he purchased Twitter, because if you are an immigrant working in the United States of America on an H-1B visa, well, obviously you don't, if you lose your job, you get deported. So you are infinitely more likely to work the long hours necessary for you. They also see it as a discount, given that the currency exchange, if you're sending money back home, given the currency exchange rate, you are willing to take a pay cut because ultimately you're still sending a lot of money back home overall. It is a relatively abusive structure. Now, of course, the way to fix that is by normalizing payments through legislation to ensure that those who are on an H-1B visa still have to be paid in the same exact way that documented Americans on a W-9 or a 1099 employee should be getting paid. But of course, you can't do that without unions.
Is that the form the CIA gives you, the W-9?
Yeah.
Sick.
No, I'm a 1099 employee for the CIA.
Oh, that makes sense.
I'm a contractor.
I'm stupid. Yeah,
I'm a contractor, not a full-time employee for the CIA.
Wait, did you see the post that was like, I'm one of the good ones? Did you pull that one
I did not see that.
Do you guys know what I'm talking about? I feel like I saw this morning.
What is this? You messed up, dude. You lied and told us you were base. Plus, I think you're personally shorting me on the X revenue. So let's get an engineer on that. A common complaint. I mean, all of these losers, all of these like right-wing losers on Twitter are chirping at Elon Musk right now. Dinesh D'Souza. Oh, hell yeah.
This one.
There are good and bad Indians. I'm obviously one of the good ones. I suspect this Shahram guy is too. On the other hand, these two Indians pictured below were an intrinsic part of the censorship regime on social media. I wish we could deport them.
It's fucking crazy. I have nothing to say. I just wanted to know if you saw this.
Dude, Indian Twitter goes hard. I went down a rabbit hole the other day of a dude from Bangladesh talking about how like Albanians are monkeys and that those in Bangladesh like are actually infinite, like they are of a higher race than everyone else in the continent.
Whoa.
Like it's always so funny because like the way that white people perceive every brown person, like these guys will never understand it, I guess.
In a lot of ways. I mean, we kind of talked about this yesterday.
Like they don't care. They just, for the average white racist guy in America, you think they make a distinction between like castes or whatever? No, they just see you as like a guy who's gonna blow them up with an explosive vest. They don't know.
Have we ever talked about the legal construction of whiteness on here? I feel like maybe we did. Or maybe
I have, yeah.
Interesting.
I mean, I have talked about it quite a bit.
Oh, okay. Wow, so woke.
I mean, yeah.
God, let's all clap for Hassan Piker.
Elon is getting ratioed by his own favorite Nazi account, which is so cool. Silicon Valley's biggest limitation, engineering talent shortage. The U.S. semiconductor industry alone needs over 160,000 engineers by 2032, driven by $250 billion in new investments. Demands for AI experts have skyrocketed, with Elon calling the talent war the craziest ever. Meanwhile, STEM programs struggle to produce enough graduates. This shortage threatens innovation from AI to semiconductors, slowing progress in global competitiveness. Expanding STEM education, streamlining high-skilled immigration, and reskilling workers are urgent solutions. Investing in talent is investing in the future. This was in response to Elon saying there's a permanent shortage of excellent engineering talent. It is the fundamental limiting factor in Silicon Valley. To which Elon responded, no, we need more like double that number yesterday. The number of people who are super talented engineers and super motivated in the USA is far too low. Think of this like a pro sports team. If you want your team to win the championship, you need to recruit top talent wherever they may be. That enables the whole team to win. To which Elon's favorite neo-Nazi account, this account is like straight up a neo-Nazi, by the way. Elon Musk routinely talks to him, said, There are over 330 million people in America. Surely there must be enough among them to build your ultimate team. Why would you deny real Americans that opportunity by bringing foreigners together? Ratioing Elon Musk. And Elon responds with, your understanding of the situation is upside down and backwards. Of course, my companies and I would prefer to hire Americans, and we do, as that is much easier than going through the incredibly painful and slow work visa process. However, there is a dire shortage of extremely talented and motivated engineers in America. This is not about handing out opportunities that from some magical hat. You don't get it. This is blindingly obvious when looking at NBA teams, as the physical differences are so obvious to see. However, the mental differences between humans are far bigger than the physical differences. It's so funny that these guys who spend most of their time on here talking about how low IQ like Indians are or whatever are legitimately fucking frustrated with Elon Musk being like, no, dude, you don't understand. These guys are much smarter than the average legacy American, which is crazy. And it has nothing to do with race and IQ, by the way, and everything to do with the fact that, yeah, they love H-1B visa workers because these guys, if they lose their jobs, they will get deported. They don't just lose their health care, which is already a big fear that many legacy Americans, white Americans have. But also on top of that, there's additional fears that like they will obviously get deported. That's it. And they like that because they see it as like an instant 20% pay cut that they can use. And also they're more desperate, so he can exploit them further, which is evidenced by the fact that that's precisely what he did when he fired virtually everyone from Twitter and made the rest of the workforce that is desperate not to get deported work overtime to pick up the slack for the rest of the redundancies that he eliminated. Your understanding of the situation is upside down and backwards. It comes down to this. Do you want America to win or do you want America to lose? If you force the world's best talents to play for the other side, America will lose. End of story.
Thank you for standing up for America, Elon.
Yeah, it's so funny. Vivek wrote this like effort post as well, which I'm going to get to. Here's Felix's summarization. This is one of the funniest posts I've ever seen in my life. I've never seen a guy misjudge things quite like this. He spent years pretending to laugh at Babylon Bee headlines so we could post this.
Holy shit. So
Vivek
long.
Ramaswamy.
Please don't read that.
Vivek Ramaswamy, who, by the way, technically could be denaturalized and deported with the administration that he's a part of policies because his parents were not American citizens at the time of his birth on U.S. soil. And one of Trump's policies is to literally denaturalize anchor babies. So it's ironic that Vivek Ramaswamy, who is an anchor baby himself, is a part of the administration that would work on literally deporting him. Anyway, here's what he had to say. The reason top tech companies, yes,
oh my
yes,
God,
it's not that long.
that.
The reason top tech companies often hire foreign-born, first-generation engineers over native, in air quotes, Americans, isn't because of an innate American IQ deficit, a lazy and long explanation. A key part of it comes down to the C word, culture. Tough questions.
Yeah, that's the C word.
Tough questions demand tough answers. And if dude, it's so funny because what these guys are saying, okay, I need you to understand something. Right now, the question in everyone's mind is H-1B visas. That's why these business owners are defending H-1B visas because they utilize H-1B visa workers. What do you think is going to happen to every small business owner, jet ski dealership owner, restaurant owner, hospitality owner when undocumented migrants are rounded up and mass deported? They are going to chirp in the exact same way that Vivek is chirping right now. This is something that I've talked about already, just so you understand. The reason why these guys are chirping is because they're tech bros and they heavily rely on H-1B visas, okay? H-1B visa workers. That is a cheaper alternative that is easier to exploit. Just like the entirety of our agricultural and construction industry relies on undocumented workers. Again, for the exact same principles, easier to exploit with no legal recourse. They have no way of defending themselves in their workplaces because they're illegally in the on U.S. soil. And what's really interesting about this process is that the only reason why you're hearing them talk about this is because they hire H-1B visa workers. But inevitably, once mass deportations, if they were actually to be implemented, you would see virtually every single one of these small business Hitlerites turn on the Trump administration overnight. When the Bracero program was implemented in the United States of America, it was the Texas ranchers that were actively hunting down, not the undocumented migrants, actively hunting down federal law enforcement agency officers because they wanted to defend their workers, because they rely on their Mexican background workers. This is America's recent history, something that many people do not even think about. Things can turn overnight. Things can change overnight. Anyway, here's the truth.
I'm ready.
Our American culture has venerated mediocrity over excellence for way too long. At least since the 90s and likely longer. That doesn't start in college. It starts young. A culture that celebrates the prom queen over the math Olympiad champ. Or the jock over the valedictorian will not produce the best engineers.
Speaking of valedictorian, you know who a valedictorian who we all love in this community? Luigi Mangione. That's our favorite. Wow.
We venerate valedictorians.
We gotta venerate valedictorians like Luigi Mangione.
Luigi Mangione. And he's Italian, so he is a person of color.
For sure.
Yeah.
We know that now.
Yeah. A culture that venerates Corey from Boy Meets World, or Zack and Slater over Screech and Saved by the Bell, or Stefan over Steve Urkel in Family Matters.
What the fuck?
52,000 likes. Dude, Twitter is so stupid. I think like culturally, like the Twitter posting culture is so unimaginably busted, so unimaginably broken.
Yeah, it's bad.
That like a person who crafted these sentences can get 50,000 likes. What the hell is going on? Who is this for?
Wait, why does he hate on Corey?
Bro said Urkel deserves more respect. That's why. It's the nerds. It's the nerds that you've overlooked for far too long. And that's why the nerds are rising up. Because guess what? In India, those nerds, they don't get overlooked.
Such a personal grievance. It's crazy. So he was watching Saved by the Bell, absolutely fuming at what was happening to Screech.
This is literally the black Twitter meme of the nerd who's like, I'm gonna become your landlord in the future. Like the sexy girl or whatever with the nerd. Beat it, chick.
I think that this whole thing for him started, he was thinking already about Saved by the Bell and Urkel and fuming.
Yeah.
And just furious. And he's like, this is just like that. This is just like that.
Yeah. Great academics are leaving for China. People like Xing-Tung Yao, who literally given the title Emperor of Math, left Harvard to teach in China because he felt slighted by the people in the field. Americans want to keep up in the field, but are racist towards people who want to contribute. Yeah, China is becoming the next brain drain, from what I understand. He's low-key spitting if you take the incel tone out of it. Culture that emphasizes academics definitely plays a huge role in this. Dude, it's not a culture that emphasizes academia. Okay, you don't have to literally have like a Confucianist approach historically for your 1,000-year empire in order to arrive at these. These are the fun schools, dude. But of course, Americans are so...
Oh, sorry.
What? Go ahead.
Sorry. And
No.
I mean allow people to live. Allow people a moment of rest in this world. You know, how many Mozarts do we lose because of the way the world is set up? These people are exhausted. They can't thrive in this horrible capitalist hellscape. Are you serious? You talk about, exceptionalism, all this other bullshit. It's because all the people that are here are exhausted. Everything is criminalized. These people.
Yeah, and these are the people who are most responsible for this destruction too, because of short-term profit seeking. That where every corner there's an opportunity of investment. Every corner there's an opportunity for privatization. Every corner there is a way to make money. We have engineered society in a way to basically have perma brain drain, hopefully, to make up for what we lack. And then now this guy's like, oh, you don't understand. It's the culture. It's not the culture. It's not because you're not
the cultures. Saved by the Bell.
Yeah, he's like, the nerds didn't get enough pussy in high school. That's why, it's we have to keep hiring nerds from India. It's like, okay, dude, sure.
Oh my God, keep going. Go to the Whiplash.
Yeah, now you like it.
Now you like it. Yeah.
More movies like really Whiplash, fewer reruns of Friends, more math tutoring, fewer sleepovers, more weekend science competitions, fewer Saturday morning cartoons, more books, less TV, more creating, less chilling, more extracurriculars, less hanging out at the mall. Oh my God. Oh my God. This is incredible. Most normal American parents look skeptically at those kinds of parents. More normal American kids view those kinds of kids with scorn. If you grow up aspiring to normalcy is what you will achieve. Now close your eyes and visualize which families you in the 90s or even now who raise their kids according to one model versus the other. Be brutally honest. Okay, I I also need to mention something here. It's literally money, okay? It's money. It's how much money in wages that have not kept up with productivity that you are willing to let your workers have. And I always use the example of teachers. No one becomes a teacher in this country because they want to make the bucks. They become a teacher because they love the profession. And there is this same principle applies virtually across every sector with the exception of like finance and maybe a couple different ones where you still can make like a ton of money. Virtually every sector in this country, you have to love your job and you have to genuinely be passionate about what you are doing. And this is included, but not limited to the sector of engineering at this point. 20 years in the past, 30 years in the past, engineering was seen as a golden bracelet profession. It was seen as something that you did and you could make a lot of money over it. And I know from personal experiences that even on the engineering side, even if you are a fucking rocket scientist, okay? Even if you are literally a rocket scientist, the thing that keeps you going is not the money that you are making, which again is nowhere near what you would think it is. But it is absolutely the genuine, real passion you have for the craft, for the work that you're putting out there. We are literally in every sector, including historically high-paid sectors, relying on people and their own personal passions to make this economy continue, creating unimaginable profits for those of the tippy top who don't actually have any sort of output, who don't actually provide any sort of value whatsoever, aside from the upfront capital that they give to these companies in the form of purchasing stocks, in the form of becoming shareholders. They never touch the factory floor. They never are a part of the assembly. They do not care about any of the product itself. They only care about the profits that they can generate year over year.
But the good news is there's a secret bank account out there that you can access if you're a sovereign citizen. You just need to say the right words and then you will have access to this bank account in your name.
Thank you.
All right, never mind. Sorry, fuck. Flop.
Oh yeah, Matt Damon, whose mother is a teacher, who is right here, famously a decade plus ago, gave an interview to Reason.tv. Reason TV is a libertarian outlet where they were talking about teachers unions and how bad teachers unions are. Here's Matt Damon basically echoing what I was telling you earlier.
There isn't job security, right? There's an incentive to work hard and be a better actor because you want to have a job. So why isn't it like that for teachers?
Do you think job insecurity is what makes me work hard?
Well, you have an incentive to work harder, but if there's job security...
Be an actor. It's not an incentive. That's the thing. See, you take this MBA-style thinking, right? It's the problem with ed policy right now. There's this intrinsically paternalistic view of problems that are much more complex than that. It's like saying a teacher is going to get lazy when they have tenure. A teacher wants to teach. I mean, why else would you take a salary and really long hours and do that job unless you really love to do it?
The cameraman goes, aren't 10% bad though? He just like came up with that number out of his 10% of teachers are bad. What the fuck does that even mean?
10% that are bad though? 10% of teachers are bad.
Where'd you get that number?
I don't know. 10% of people in any profession maybe should think of something else. Right?
Well, okay, but I mean, maybe you're a cameraman. I don't know.
So good.
Yeah.
No, that's something I've seen recently that I hadn't seen before was now sort of the reactionary answer to teachers is they say that like all of them are pedophiles.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen like whenever people defend teachers now, right wing, like conservatives,
it's insane.
They
it's
say
also
they're all pedophiles.
It's also partially like the babification of American society as a whole. Felix, I think was talking about this recently. He's talked about this quite a bit, where it's like everyone is a baby. Like every American is basically like a baby brain dip at this point. A lot of our cultural resentments or a lot of our resentments revolve around like, baby It reminds me of that one post from this kid who was like, from this kid on Twitter that went viral talking about like, of course someone is gonna like become a school shooter. Like you put me in this position where you have this like psychotic fascist woman like telling me what to do with this cat lady. And it's like you're a child.
They were probably 14.
Yeah,
or maybe they were 38. Like, I don't know, to be honest.
Yeah, no, Matt Damon has always been like this. It's interesting. Both Matt Damon and Ben Affleck are perfect embodiments of the aggressive social dominance that Boston area natives are able to command in an unfriendly television interview. From word one, he flips the power structure of the entire video and never flips back. Amazing stuff.
Also, their company, I think they have like buy-in from their production company, which is pretty cool, right? Like,
I didn't know that. But they're pretty. They've very consistently been like, yeah, there's like a bunch of things that they've done as every Hollywood celebrity has, but like they have fairly consistently been on the right side. Bill Burr as well, obviously. There is some about Boston that some about massholes that just turns out these old school white working class background guys that just get it. I don't know what it is.
Actors Equity. That's the
Sam Cedar as well, obviously. Now, now close your eyes and visualize which families you knew in the 90s, or even now who raised their kids according to one model versus the other. Be brutally honest. Normalcy doesn't cut it in a hyper-competitive global market for technical talent. And if we pretend like it does, we'll have our asses handed to us by China. This can be our Sputnik moment. We've awakened from slumber before, and we can do it again. Trump's election hopefully marks the beginning of a new golden era in America, but only if our culture fully wakes up. A culture that once again prioritizes achievement over normalcy, excellence over mediocrity, nerdiness over conformity, hard work over laziness. That's the work we have cut out for us, rather than wallowing in victimhood and just wishing or legislating alternative hiring practices into existence. I'm confident we can do it. Cernovich responds, the Woodstock generation managed to build out aerospace. The one before it went to the moon. America, well, that was also immigrants. The ones that got us to the moon were also immigrants that were maybe of German origin.
my
Different kind of immigrant talent.
favorite immigrant.
Yeah. Different kind of immigrant talent helped America get to the moon, I think. German immigration. America was doing great. Underlying your post is that we were all living in squalor before being rescued by H-1Bs. Then why did everyone want to come here? That version of America, the one that used to embody unbridled exceptionalism, is exactly what we want to return to. The point about culture, not immigration policy.
Let's go, Cat Nerd.
Cat Nerd says, do I really need to start listing American inventors and what the world wouldn't have without us? That's the version of America I want to see us return to. What's also funny is like all of these people are descendant of immigrants to begin with. That's just America, including but not limited to, I guess, Anna Kashian. Vivek, this is sort of proving the point I made on your show. You're right, it is cultural, and different cultures value things differently, and this isn't really doing much to dispel that notion that they're incompatible. Anyway, thanks for letting me talk for so long on TV and not cutting it.
Plug your shit, girl.
Yeah, like, oh God, I just despise them so much. The Red Scare girls, like they're so fucking gross. Another Indian American weighs in. There's nothing wrong with American workers or American culture. All you have to do is look at the border and see how many want what we have. We should be investing in prioritizing Americans, not foreign workers. Yeah, but this is drummed up a lot of controversy. Comrade Stump says, this is the most anti-American post I've ever read. He does not get the culture. He does not understand the country. Americans aren't hive mind bugs, and they want to import people who will play that role. Vivek does not understand America. First of all, this guy is wrong. Americans literally do want to import. They don't want to. First of all, the way that this country is designed relies on a consistent flow of migration into it, okay? That is a big part of why America, alongside, you know, its geopolitical positioning in the planet and not being immediately destroyed by World War II, a big part of why America has been this engine is because of the brain drain, is because of migration patterns, both at the tippy top of society, the individuals that work in the academic side of things that have come to America for prosperity, but also on the very bottom rungs of society that are hyper exploited as well, which is, you know, the undocumented migrants that do all the jobs that Americans don't want to do. Part of the reason why Americans don't want to do those grueling tasks also is not necessarily because those tasks are very difficult to do in the agricultural sector, even though there is certainly a lot of difficulties on the body or in the construction field as well. It's because of pay. That's it. It's because American business owners, American capitalists don't want to pay what you should be paid to do these jobs. That's it. There is no point throughout American history where the American engine did not run on H-1B visa style workers and the brain drain that happens in academia, and also at the permanent underclass that we've created for undocumented migrants that work in all of our key sectors. So the idea that like this is not a fundamental part of America is really stupid. And the actual fix to this process is by forcibly making wages higher, forcibly extracting profits from the hands of profiteers, capital owners, who are lifeless, faceless husks that have nothing to do with the productive output, that have no interest in generating value at all, simply just interested in turning profit and profit margins that consistently yield better dividends, but instead forcibly making sure that those profits go back to the workers. Now, of course, when I start talking like this, a lot of people get scared. They're like, oh, I don't know about that. But that is it. That is the way that you normalize this process. And many racists will look to this and say, well, we can't do that when there's so many goddamn Mexicans in the country. They're not doing that for white people either, you dumb f. Even if you were to forcibly deport in the most cruel Hitlerian policy possible, 20 million undocumented migrants that are currently playing a very important role in American agricultural sectors, in hospitality, in virtually every field that keeps this country running. It's not like the remaining white Americans and remaining documented Americans that racist people like to call legacy Americans are going to fill those roles for the same pay, and there's not going to be an increase in pay to make sure that those roles are fulfilled anyway. It's not happening because the ultimate goals from capital owners are still the same, which is to consistently undermine the working class and ensure that they work in horrible conditions so that they can make the most amount of profit possible at a time when automation and technological innovation ends up creating this reverse profit margin that almost always has a tendency to decline. Profits will always shrink no matter what due to technological innovation. And in that process, if your goal is to steadily improve profit margins, you are always going to go after the most malleable force, which is labor. Labor is the only force you can dominate and lower the price point of. Vivek does not understand America. He talks about the jocks as if they're the stereotypical meatheads instead of usually being the most well-rounded people in high school. Vivek talks about chilling and sleepovers as if they're bad things for kids to partake in. Imagine having an awful childhood because your parents wanted you to excel at using Excel. A miserable anti-American mindset, totally foreign. Anyway, jocks are well-rounded. I'm a jock.
I just wish they could all get along. It's really sad to see this.
Yeah, ironically, capital would prefer labor camps to deportation, which would put a downward pressure on wages. The first reply, they really got everyone infighting over this on the right. My favorite H-1B related exchange I've seen today on Twitter. Indians are now threatening American right-wingers that they have nukes. Why aren't Indians making India great? Give them free markets and the rule of law so liberalism... Wait, India doesn't... What? I thought the reason why we overlooked BJP's fascism was because they were so free market oriented and have the rule of law and liberalism. And you see them thrive, just like South Koreans thrive, but not North Koreans. It's amazing. Oh, you sent the wrong link. Why aren't Indians making India great? They have nukes. You don't. Tread carefully, my English bro. Really? You think that will set them off, but not Iran and Russia? Ignorant fool. I have it on good authority that the Indian Prime Minister keeps close tabs on Lotus meters. What is happening? The universal principle here is that all of the hogs, there is hog universality, as you guys know. I've talked about this quite a bit. This is why I love doing Hogwatch of different origins as well. I love doing Hogwatch in Israel. I love doing Hogwatch in India as well. Just like I love doing Hogwatch in America. And the consistent through line in Hogwatch is always that they are so unimaginably racist. It's extra funny when you are someone of Indian background and you're a racist in an otherwise universal white supremacist society, because the rest of the racists in the West don't look at you and think that you are of a higher caste or of an upper class. They just see you as the same as the way you see people of a lower caste.
It's the most American thing you can do. Like, in a lot of ways, they are the ultimate Americans. They have totally become part of the American culture.
You are not on the team, my bro. Tim Pool is duking it out with a Twitter guy. If your race is so great, why am I out competing you on every axis that actually matters? Seems like you are the one who is dysgenic. Thankfully, evolution will take care of you in due time. Good luck to you and your children if you are capable of having any.
Jesus Christ.
Lol, holy sh**. Is this really an ex-employee? You, me, Code Forces. Let's find out who can reverse a binary tree faster, Beanie Boy. Amazing. Seemingly, this has created... This kind of right-wing infighting is so amazing to me. It's great. I love signal boosting the absolute worst people. No, this is awesome. Let them fight. Let them fight.
What, do you guys believe this now that you saw it? Did you read that and become incredibly racist?
Yeah. What this guy wants is white guy affirmative action. Parag was a gold medalist in the International Physics Olympiad, which is insane. And Josiah graduated from a college with 100% admittance rate. But Josiah thinks he deserves a better job than Parag because he's white. These third worlders with fake credentials are harder workers and smarter than you and your neighbors. You need to let them rule over you, says Josiah Lippincott. Parag Agrawal holds a PhD in computer science from Stanford University and is a gold medalist in the International Physics Olympiad. Josiah Lippincott has a simple Bachelor of Arts in Politics from Hillsdale College. Dude, fascism is a death cult. And that's why I think given how supercharged our news consumption cycle has become, especially with the invention of social media, you're now seeing that death cult spiral into this ever-shrinking process much faster than you normally would experience it. Like in the 1930s, the death cult would take some time to possibly get to the Ubermensch concept, right? Like they never fully flushed it out even. Nowadays it happens in real time within a matter of like weekends, okay? It's awesome. What would previously take a decade to arrive at this inevitable conclusion, this inevitable contradiction, and the infighting would kick in, you're seeing it happen in real time, online, in broad daylight, in an accelerated fashion. I've never seen a better example of the face-eating leopard party meme being brought to life than what we've seen from Trump-supporting tech execs the past few days. Yup. Musk on his employee that beefed with Tim Pool. He's a troll, but went a little over the top in the past few days. One of your engineers is a racist. Yeah, dude. Racist people crying about racism because it's an Indian dude talking about white people. Yes. Yes. Oh,
that's true racism.
It's so good. It's so good, dude. Oh, I'm mainlining it, dude. Oh, that's so awesome. That's so sick. He's Algerian. Okay, even better. Oh, even better. That's great. My Muslim brothers. Remember, his background doesn't matter. What matters is that he is, one, of migrant background, and two, he's being an anti-white racist. Do you understand? I'm upset. I like UNX, but not him. He should work instead of mocking whites.
Funny, look at this after dinner. Funny how it's okay when it's against one group of people.
Yeah, no, this is like the dark humor. the dark humor enjoyers when white people are in the crosshairs. The dark humor enjoyers whenever you make fun of a CEO.
No, this is really not funny. Can we get serious?
Can we stop, please? Can we stop making fun of white people? What the f is going on? Loomer is trolling for attention. Ignore. Telling the truth isn't trolling. Read the room, Elon Musk. You bought your way into MAGA 5 minutes ago after Trump almost had his head blown off in Butler. Remember when you voted for Biden and propped up Governor Ron DeSantis and you said Trump was too old? We all know you only donated your money so you could influence immigration policy and protect everybody Xi Jinping. Yeah. Laura Loomer is jealous that Elon paid his way into Trump's orbit, whereas Laura Loomer had to do something much more difficult. Suck her way to the top. God, that was so sick when when Laura Loomer was... Oh, I said Laura Loomer had to suck her way to the Trump's orbit. God. Yeah, I am a Laura Loomer Donald Trump truther. It's one of my conspiracy theories that I 100% believe. Laura Loomer, more like Laura Coomer. By the way, she's not wrong. Elon Musk has Tesla factories in Shanghai, and Elon Musk absolutely tanked the clean resolution partially because it would turn the already existing Treasury Department protocols of offering additional scrutiny to those who actually invest in China into legislation. This was a bipartisan deal that was crafted within the and was placed in the clean resolution bill, which Elon Musk did not want. In the clean resolution bill, they took it out. Yeah, he did not like that he would be under additional scrutiny for investing in China. By the way, that guy's Algerian atheist who says some vile Islamophobic stuff, ex-Muslim, Saudi AFD guy style. Everyone in the story's awful. No, I know. It's fantastic.
He seemed like a good guy.
Yeah, what is this? Eric Weinstein, I love this. Do you want to fill an entire stadium debating this with me? I'm so game for America. You love this place, so do I. We don't know each other. I'm a US-born STEM PhD with some background in this issue in the sciences. Dance with me. Do you think 40,000 people would see you and Vivek Ramaswamy debate H-1B visas?
For a visa, they would.
This is amazing. All of the grossest, sweatiest, weirdest right-wing loser nerds are fighting each other, and it's awesome. It is amazing that this controversy has erupted like an atomic bomb and has made every single racist of different background mad at one another. America wouldn't exist if it wasn't for Indian excellence, says Kache, engineer at X. No, my dad's dad built this country and it was rich. No. Oh, it's so good. So they want to debate who is and isn't American more than they want to debate real issues like the Constitution. Debate real issues like the Constitution. This was only a matter of time. Whenever one party gets full control, they eat themselves alive. No, it's awesome. This is amazing. Let them fight. Let them fight. I love this. Yeah. At the risk of Elon Musk is trying to put this together, by the way, he's trying to like throw some water on this. And he's like, at the risk of stating the obvious, there are many attention-seeking trolls on all social media platforms trying to yank your chain. They win if you respond.
Guys, don't give in to the trolls.
Yeah. Everyone is a liberal at the end of the day, baby. Everyone is a liberal at the end of the day. Okay, never forget. Vivek intervenes in the MAGA civil war by saying the reason tech companies need to bring H-1B visa employees over is because Americans failed to venerate Steve Urkel. Does Vivek think this will convince hardline anti-immigration people that H-1B visas are necessary to fill engineering roles? Or is this just a way of signaling the A16Z set that he's on side? What? Interesting. I predicted two sides will come to an amenable agreement soon based on the quality of these ideas. All the paleo right MAGA tradespeople should seriously just pivot to building data centers and GPU farms and power plants that power them. They have the skills. This is how they can own a slice of the AI pie in the near term. Says based Beth Bezos. All the top minds are on this. They're on the problem. They're going to fix it. What is this? People seem to be missing the fact that you're asserting that it's elite engineering talent that we have a shortage of in America, like 0.1 to 0.01%. And if we don't fill the shortage with immigrants in the short term, we will lose. Maybe this is a helpful clarification. I'm referring to bringing in via legal immigration the top 0.1% of engineering talent as being essential for America to keep winning. This is like bringing in the Jokic's or the Wembys of the world. He just keeps doing like NBA. I don't know what. Does he start recently watching the NBA or something?
I don't know. I thought he was really into Diablo.
Yeah.
Isn't that his whole thing?
Or Poe now. Path of Exile. A116Z is Anderson Horowitz's VC firm. By the way, the H-1B discourse completely ignores how all these companies do permanent layoffs now to suppress wages. Yeah.
And also how they're using AI to lay off people as well, even at the very successful tech companies.
Yeah. This is like bringing the Jokic's of the Wembys of the world to help your whole team, which is mostly Americans, win the NBA. Win the NBA. To win the NBA.
Hell yeah.
Thinking of America as a pro
real
sports
fan.
Thinking of America game. Yeah. He's doing the Lori Lightfoot, the wearing the NFL gear during the Super Bowl. It's like, I appreciate sports on all sides, okay? I will not be taking a side on this sport endeavor. Thinking of America as a pro sports team that has been winning for a long time and wants to keep winning is the right mental construct. If you're serious about increasing the quantity and quality of educated, competent, exceptional American workers, you don't need to search the world for smart migrants. You just need to end affirmative action, stop mandatory DEI, and ban forced equity. Problem solved. He got it. That's it. That was what was keeping Americans back. These guys are so invested in alternative narratives other than like the major problems that they're facing that they literally cannot comprehend it. And it's really funny because Donald Trump has talked about abolishing the Department of Education. And in the same conversation, when he talks about abolishing the Department of Education, he'll be like, Norway and China, they have so much better education than we do. And it's like, yeah, dumb. That's because they have a Department of Education that they actually is competent. They have a hyper focus on public education. It's not this like piecemeal private interest that has absolutely gutted what remains of this already underfunded sector. That's literally it. It's not about venerating the nerds or whatever either, okay? On the one hand, they're like gutting education. On the other hand, they're like, why don't we have any talent? Like, I don't understand.
All right, I'm going to hang out with my real friends.
Okay, well, have fun, dude. Have fun, dude.
All right, I'm out of here.
Matt Gaetz has come out against Elon Musk as well. Uh-oh. We welcome the tech bros when they came running our way to avoid the third grade teacher picking their kid's gender and the obvious Biden-Harris economic decline. We did not ask them to engineer an immigration policy. After Gavin Mario Wax says, the tech bros ally with MAGA to defeat a Democrat party full of hubris and arrogance. Now those same tech bros are engaging in the same hubris and arrogance with their flippant, condescending, and elitist responses to legitimate criticisms of the H-1B1 program, politically inept. I feel like Gates has some other things to worry about right now instead of shitting on Musk, although I love to see them infighting. Yeah, no, it's great. Let them fight. Let them fight. Politico picked this up. What? Musk influence sparks fresh talk in Congress on high-skilled immigrants. The Christmas Day social media brawl between President-elect Donald Trump's backers in Silicon Valley and the MAGA base highlighted the looming battle facing the incoming White House Congress over high-skilled immigration. Early conversations are already taking place on Capitol Hill, where Republican lawmakers are openly mulling new plans to boost numbers of high-tech immigrants as Elon Musk and other tech billionaires, including many who have named skilled immigration a priority, flex their expanding influence on Trump and the GOP. But this week's online blow-up suggests immigration hardliners won't surrender easily to Trump's new tech friends. Yeah, it's great. It's amazing. It's great. These guys have arrived at one of the first great limiters. You haven't even covered the Indian side yet. What is this? Western inbreds. This is what the H-1B visa Indian tech workers think of Americans. What? Nothing on Twitter feels better than the meltdown of Western inbreds over the Indian invasion. Oh my God, they're so mad. They're so mad about the anti-white racism. Oh, that's so awesome. This is literally like months and months of unrestricted, years of unrestricted anti-Indian sentiment manifesting in every orifice online, okay? Straight up. Out of control. Like the anti-Indian sentiment has gotten completely out of control on Twitter, especially. I'm learning new racism that I didn't even know existed. It's normalized. This is from Rohan Davis of the anti-Indian hatred in the Western world. This is from, I think this is Indian Assange certified as well. Oh, this was also very funny. Grimes also suddenly concocting anti-Indian energy out of nowhere is embarrassing, y'all. Also, they were clear they planned to do this. My stepdad's Indian. I have a fire childhood and have Indian household. Indian culture jives very well with Western culture. I love this take because there is this there's this attitude where like she's saying some cultures don't jive well with Western culture, but Indian culture does jive well with Western culture. It's like, what culture doesn't jive well with Western culture? What the fuck is Western culture? Friend of the show, Grimes. Once again, popping off. It's so funny. Would India be okay with being flooded with American culture so much that they change their culture significantly? Would they care that the two jive well together? We already did this to them. It has caused a ton of problems for them. Wait, what? This is a self-own. When they start singing instead of you might change your mind. Do you think you would be successful in Bollywood? Wait, what? She didn't say that, Asani. You're doing the waffles meme. No, this is a very important aspect of this. This is not a waffles meme, dummy. This is at the heart of the problem. This understands the notion that, like, there are cultures that don't jive well with Western culture. Do you not understand that? This is not waffles to pancakes. The fundamental principle that she is operating off of is that there are certain cultures that don't jive well with Western culture. Indian culture is not one of them. That is the implication in this statement. Trapped at the heart of the statement is that, like, you don't understand. Indians are the model minority, unlike some of these other groups that don't jive well. Finding out you're not a part of the in-group, many anti-DEI legal immigrants who celebrated Trump are now realizing that America First is fundamentally incompatible with their dreams of a global meritocracy, and that Trump's core base is comprised of people who find their president America to be rather undesirable. Apuruva Govind, us legal immigrants want safe cities, meritocracy, a fair exchange for our children to succeed without being boxed into a DEI cult. Today, competence is one. Founders can go back to building without worrying about a government that kneecaps success. So thank you and good night. America is my chosen home. I didn't get here accidentally. I wasn't born here. I came here for its values. I'm sacrificing my time I'd have otherwise spent with my Indian relatives so I can be true to my values. I'm glad to see smart people I respect get involved in U.S. politics. This election is especially hard because I had to root against a woman who had a very close connection to my roots. The great thing about the U.S. is unapologetic meritocracy. Today, the best candidate we had won. The racists are slowly coming out of the woodwork on TPOT. Interesting to see. Everyone loves meritocracy until they discover that they're not the top dog. Then suddenly it is, f you, Brownie. Cindy says, seriously, I'm just baffled at their credulity. America First is fundamentally a protectionist, populist, myopic movement, whether it comes to global trade or foreign policy or immigration. It's incompatible with free markets, free trade, and free movement of labor. Yeah, I don't think these people understand. Yeah, the goal here is always this. Look at this post. Whites are 6% of the world. Do not fund your replacement. Don't shop around. Be racist or go extinct. The goal here is not to, I don't know, improve American output. Like, the goal here by racists is always been to not be around brown people, no matter what the cost is. That's it. And what these guys don't understand is that, like, it's magical thinking. It's magical thinking. The notion that, like, I've talked about this with, like, incels, right? A lot of incels find themselves in the throes of, like, right-wing MAGA style, white nativist immigration attitudes because of their personal insecurities. They think that if there is this, like, white supremacist society, then they'll be able to get pussy. Not realizing that there are far more prescient, far more important reasons as to why they're not getting laid, okay? Oftentimes it's deeply personal problems, you know, something as simple as sanitation. Now, the issue is these guys think that magically this problem will be solved once America is white. It's not. It's just like you're not going to get a better job that pays well once you deport the H-1B visa holders. That's not going to work. It doesn't work that way. It never worked that way. It's not going to work. Very interesting stuff overall, though, from people who think like this will actually solve their problems. Milton Friedman admitting the quiet part out loud. Illegal immigration is
For example, this obvious, immediate, practical case of illegal
Yeah, I mean, he also was an advocate as long as they are not allowed to take advantage of the social services. Like, it's pretty gross stuff.
Mexican immigration over the border is a good thing. It's a good thing for the illegal immigrants. It's a good thing for the United States. It's a good thing for the citizens of the country. But it's only good so long as it's illegal. That's an interesting paradox to think about. Make it legal, but it's no good. Why? Because as long as it's illegal, the people who come in do not qualify for welfare. They don't qualify for Social Security. They don't qualify for all the other myriads of benefits that we pour out from our left pocket into our right pocket.
We lost A.
And so as long as they don't qualify, they migrate to jobs. They take jobs
Enemy UAV
that
inbound.
most residents of this country are unwilling to take. They provide employers with workers of the kind they cannot get. They're hard workers, they're good workers, and they are clearly better off.
Yep. I mean, it's not even the quiet part out loud. This is when the right used to be very open about this sort of thing. At a time when Bernie Sanders used to say open borders are a right-wing Koch brothers-backed policy, because it technically was. Issue in Canada is a bit different. Youth unemployment is a record high due to corporations using temporary foreign workers to ensure waste suppression. Indians in Canada are facing the backlash because most are Indian. Blame needs to be on the corporation looking for cheap labor rather than the people looking for a better life. Unwilling to take has been expressly modeled to run off of exploited labor. Yes. No. American manufacturing and American capitalism is entirely funded off the backs of hyper-exploited migrant labor, whether documented or undocumented. It's endless profit seeking. And the way to stop that is not by stopping undocumented migration or H-1B visas. It's to create legal safeguards to ensure that everyone is paid, like everyone's pay rates are adjusted, and that you can't take advantage of people's, currency exchange rate. Or you can't take advantage of people's like legal status. The problem is that is left-wing economic policy that everybody freaks out about. So that's the reason why we'll never have it, and that's the reason why we'll have this instead. Shiv Arur, journalist from India Today, saying not all Americans, Loomer, just Western inbreds like you.
I've said for a long time that people who stream about politics, all that they really do, that like they don't know anything, and they just sort of make stuff up as they go along, stuff that feels right to them, and they just sort of talk very confidently as if they're right, even though they have no idea what's going on. Like they just heard about something 2 minutes ago, and they'll take up a position on it and argue for it vehemently as if they're right. And I've never seen a better example of that than Bosch discovering that entire countries exist in real time, multiple times on his stream. So let's start out with what I think is the absolute worst of it. So Bosch paints himself as like a geopolitical expert, specifically like a NATO supporting geopolitical expert. You know, he supports NATO interventionism. You know, for him, NATO is socialist and epic and good and all of the dumb stuff that he says. But did you know that like 6 months before the Ukraine war, Bosch had never heard of Kosovo or Bosnia. Bosch had never heard of the two countries that he now constantly invokes as like examples for why NATO is supposedly good and socialist.
Sam Power with the $5. Sam Harris has advocated for bombing of Middle Eastern countries. If it were only about Islam, why not bomb Bosnia and Kosovo? What? What is Bosnia and Kosovo?
Unbelievable. Absolutely fucking unbelievable moment. This guy went from saying, live on stream, I shit you not, what is Bosnia and Kosovo? To like outright NATO stand in 6 months. What is Bosnia and Kosovo? Never have I heard like a worse sentence from a streamer, and that's saying a lot. Holy shit.
Are these even real countries?
Securing zone A.
Are these even real countries? Oh my god. Average
losing
politics
Charlie.
streamer.
Sam Paul with $5. Sam Harris has advocated for
All
bombing of
locations
Middle Eastern
secured. Hold
countries.
your
If it were
position.
only about Islam, why not bomb
C.
Bosnia and Kosovo? What?
Care
What
package
is-
LZ marked.
What is Bosnia and
Giving eyes on the
Kosovo?
sky.
Oh my
Are these even real countries?
Losing Bravo.
just goes and Googles them and opens the Wikipedia article. That's politics streamer.
Oh my-
That's what they do. They don't know anything. They just make shit up as they go along.
God, they actually exist.
Can you, like, it's bad enough that this is him. Can you imagine watching him? One of the people who watches this guy. Holy fuck. You like take that political cues from him.
It must be hard not being an American.
And then he justifies it with like, oh, it's okay, I'm American, I need to know anything. Well, he literally like styles himself as some sort of geopolitical guru, like an expert on geopolitics. And he doesn't know what Bosnia and Kosovo were. Well, he didn't know, rather. He found out live on stream because a viewer sent him a question asking about them.
Kosovo is a partially recognized state in Southeast Europe. Damn. Imagine not being so internationally powerful that every day people on the other
losing
side of the
Alpha.
world wake up and worry that we're going to press the button that ends the world.
Wow. This is a socialist experiment.
Did you fail topography? Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I forgot must have been sick the day I learned about Kosovo. Fuck you.
Jesus Christ, the way that Americans justify their ignorance, and like, not just like any American, you know, not just like some random American on the street, but like a fucking politics streamer, self-styled geopolitical expert politics streamer. And his excuse for it is like, you know, I'm American, I don't need to know about this shit. I'm above Bosnia and Kosovo. The same countries that he now invokes constantly to justify his imperialism.
Come on, Vosh, your countries literally try to overthrow the democratically elected government in Kosovo. I'm in America. We've tried to overthrow every democratically elected government. What the fuck are you talking about? That's every country. Do you have any idea how little that fucking narrows it down?
This is actually like my favorite genre of stream thing now. It's like politics streamers discovering entire countries for the first time, which they then of course talk about like a month later as if they're experts because they skim like the opening paragraph of a Wikipedia article. Did you think that was it? There's more. There's more. And this is even worse. I think this is even worse. This one is so much worse. I don't even know how to describe it. Are you ready? Are you ready for pain?
Guys, I'm not gonna lie. I thought Portugal was in South America. when they called themselves European, I was like, wait a second, did they like move there?
I'm an ignorant piece of shit who styles themselves as some sort of expert and tells like an audience of 12-year-olds what to think, which always happens to align with America doing more genocide. Ha ha ha. I don't know the most basic fucking things about the world. That's so funny. This is such a great indictment of fucking stream viewers and the whole politics streamer culture. Like idiots who know nothing about anything, debating other idiots who know nothing about anything. Unbelievable.
Guys, I'm not gonna lie. I thought Portugal was in South America.
I bet you think I'm done. I bet you think there's not more. I bet you think like the genre of Vorsh not knowing that a country exists can only extend so far, right? Like there's a finite amount of countries. How many are there really that he not only never heard of, but that he just learned about for the first time on stream and then started talking about like he was an expert two minutes later? Well, quite a number actually. Here is Vorsh learning what Cyprus is for the first time. Are you ready? Are you ready? Vorsh, #1 like NATO stan in the entire world, so #1 American imperialism supporter, has never heard of one of the most important incidents that a NATO country has ever been involved in. He's not just not the incident, he's never heard of the country that was the subject of it.
Cyprus is its own country, not part of Greece, Vosh, you retard. Greek Cypriot population. It was, but not now, right? Greek Cypriots, largest Greek ethno-linguistic.
My favorite part of this is that he learns about it like right now, like on the spot. He just learns about it, and 20 seconds later, you'll see he's already talking about it. He's already like trying to find some roundabout way that in being incorrect, he's somehow correct.
Community, Cyprus, island country located in the eastern Mediterranean Sea. It tried to become a part of Greece, that's why they invaded. Oh, okay. Okay, thank you. So what, like, one half of Cyprus is Turkey and the other half of Cyprus is like independent but kind of Greek, basically? Yeah, okay, okay, yeah. So it's independent on paper, but functionally its largest ethnic group was Greek people. So it was basically like Greece, kind of. But
oh, okay. I guess if the largest ethnic group is Greeks, that makes it Greece. That's how it works, I guess. You see how he just has to find a way in which he's correct about the thing that he just learned about 20 seconds ago. And it's always Wikipedia. It's always like Wikipedia and video games. It's incredible. They're so stupid. They're so abominably, like, incomprehensibly dumb. It's unbelievable. None of them know anything about anything. It would be funnier to watch if I didn't, like, watch it knowing that there are, like, a bunch of impressionable 12-year-olds who hang on these morons every word. How does that happen? America is not okay. Yeah, what does it say about Taiwan? I guess Taiwan is China because everyone there is Chinese. Shit. Yeah, someone just said, Vorsh's chat pays him to struggle to teach himself concepts for the first time based on links they have to send him themselves. That is true. That's fucking sad, isn't it? That's honestly, I thought I like milk the pay pigs really good, but that is like pay pig milking, paying someone to show them a Wikipedia article on something they've never heard of before, which is general knowledge for normal people. That is like Findom next level. That's insane. But don't worry, I have something to make you angry to end this segment on. This part isn't so much Vorsh not knowing something, rather it's Vorsh while playing a video game saying something incredibly callous and disgusting. Just while we're here because I want to fit it in. Of course, playing a video game.
Power they have.
Thinking about going to Israel on birthright, but feel a bit weird about it. Technically, it's an ethnically exclusive, all expenses paid trip, but could be cool.
If it's an experience you want to have, go for it. It's not wrong of you to take it.
It's not wrong of you to go on a trip literally called Birthright, exclusively for Jewish people, to go and try to like seduce them into colonizing Palestine, into moving directly into a Palestinian house. It's okay, you know, if you feel like it'll be good for you, that's all that matters. All that matters is if it'll be good for you. Go colonize Palestine, man. It's no big deal. Go on the Israeli government pro-settler colonial genocide trip. No, there's no ethical consumption under capitalism. Just do literally anything you want. It's all fine. As long as you feel good about it, just follow your soul. Follow the vibes. Follow the vibes straight into a stolen Palestinian house in the West Bank. Follow those vibes straight into the IDF. Join the IDF, you know. Why not? Go join the IDF. Go shoot at some Palestinian kids. Why not? You know, if what's your heart is set on, if it feels right to you, just go and do it. I'm playing a video game. The moral of this clip is streamers. Just streamers. That's the moral of this entire clip. Streamers. What more is there to say? Holy fuck.
What's up, everybody? This is the Act Man here. Alexa, play the song of my people. It's that time. Hey, do you remember Battlefield 1? Boy golly gee, wasn't that a fun game to commit some war crimes in. One of the most epic, climactic, first-person shooters of all time. I can't sing enough praise for that game. And can you believe it's been 8 years since it came out? Getting old sucks, doesn't it? I'm only 30, I'm good. I got a few years left in me. And since Battlefield 1, nothing has really filled that same void. It's over. I've been starving for a while, ladies and gentlemen. The last update for Star Wars Battlefront 2 came out 4 years ago. 2042 was a total shit show. And the whole Battlefield 5 situation, don't like it, don't buy it? Okay, I won't. Good advice. Don't be sad. This is just how it works out sometimes. For games that offer large-scale warfare combat, the market has been drier than a Tusken Raider's butthole. But guess what? We don't have to go hungry anymore. The cooks are in the kitchen, and here's what they're serving us. It's called Delta Force.
Team deathmatch.
Oh, yeah.
Happy hunting, Crimson.
That's it. There we go. It's kind of crazy that I'm even saying this, but Battlefield has just been replaced. At least for me. DICE and EA, they ran out of time on the clock, kicked around too much. And eventually someone was going to come along and say, hey, let's make a game for Battlefield fans and call it something else. Delta Force is a rather generic name, but I promise if you're like me and you simp for Battlefield 1, or maybe you like 4, Bad Company 2, whatever your poison, this is going to be a game that you should definitely check out. Oh, nice. You can run the trees down, too. Okay, yeah, bitch-ass trees. They don't stand a chance. I overextended. Oh, fuck. Oh, fuck. We're not looking good. We're not looking good. Okay, if we get out of this. Shit. On paper, it looks like your typical massive multiplayer FPS, but this isn't some cheap imitation of Battlefield. In fact, it's what 2042 should have been. First and foremost, a game that fucking worked. And it doesn't look like this. Delta Force uses a lot of the tried and true Battlefield staples to great success, like having 64 players and not 128. The game is available on console and PC, though I predominantly played it on PC because that's kind of what it feels like it was made for. Delta Force is free to play and it's in early access. Now those two terms, when combined together, makes me a little worried. But I've encountered almost no server issues. The only time I ever die is when it lags, just like every other game. But it works perfectly fine as far as I've played, with maximum wait times for matches at like a minute or two. That's totally fair when it has to get 64 players. There's definitely some jank it could use more polish, but for early access, this is infinitely more polished and stable than 2042 was. Than most early access games are, to be honest. For Battlefield fans that have gotten tired of the routine broken launch, this is going to be a breath of fresh air. The game works, and it also has a pretty healthy player base. That is also really important in being able to find quality matches so that latency and lag isn't a problem. And so far, it hasn't been for me. Neither is hit registration. In addition to your typical conquest rush and operations, i.e. warfare, Delta Force has an extraction mode and a campaign that's going to be launching early in 2025. I'm not big on extraction shooters, I'll be honest, but if it's on par with the quality of the multiplayer, then if you're an extraction fan, you should also check this out. Like 2042, Delta Force is a shooter that blends modern and futuristic elements to create a sort of hybrid setting. Not so futuristic, we have rocket boots and jump packs, but not so modern it retreads familiar ground, because modern shooters are kind of, we've seen a few of those. This is the happy medium, wrist rockets. We get those. Oh, you get a fucking wrist rocket. Oh, baby. Let's go. And a bunch of other futuristic gadgets and tools. Delta Force offers a large-scale warfare with 64 players duking it out in squads of 4 and teams of 32. They have classes that emphasize certain play styles like Assault, Medic, Engineer, and Recon. And they manage to combine operators with regular classes, and it works just fine. Like it's the best of both worlds somehow. Wait a minute, that can't be right. Now, to give you some background, Delta Force is a long-running series that stretches all the way back to 1998, and it actually predates Battlefield. Each entry has been developed by the same company, Novalogic, since its inception, with the first few titles helping to popularize the tactical shooter genre. But Delta Force hasn't really been in the spotlight for a long time. I think that's why not enough people know about this game or are kind of sleeping on it. Now, I was given a code to try the beta early in December, and I didn't know what to expect. But I was pleasantly surprised to see the return of one of my favorite game modes, Operations, or as it's called in Delta Force, Warfare. Let's talk about this game mode and why it's one of God's greatest creations. You've got attackers and defenders fighting across entrenched battle lines. To capture points, attackers try to push deeper into enemy territory with a limited number of reinforcements, and defenders hold out as long as they can to try and complete those reinforcements. This concept works in Battlefront, it works in Battlefield, and it works in Delta Force. That's why I love it. You've got this spectacle of two massive teams bodying each other nonstop for 40 minutes in a back and forth tug of war. And of course, you're complemented with a wide arsenal of tanks, trucks, jeeps, aircraft, and all sorts of turrets scattered around the map for anyone to use, with huge sprawling maps to fight across and dynamic, destructible environments that make you feel like you're in the thick of a war zone. This is the ultimate war simulation game type, and the male brain craves warfare. Where would we be without video games as an outlet? What would we be reduced to? Delta Force's warfare mode succeeds in all the same areas that Battlefield's operations does.
Within Create Warfare 2, FYI.
For starters, the gunplay
And
pace is
non-binary
much more tactical. They've struck a nice balance between combat that works for large-scale battles and a slower extraction mode. Though I have some concerns about the developers essentially working on 2 games at the same time, maybe spreading themselves thin, like
Butter scraped over too much bread.
But honestly, there's nothing to validate these concerns of mine. Delta Force is in a solid state right now. We'll see what happens. Although the one major caveat right now, Delta Force's warfare only has 5 maps. None of them are bad, they're all fun to play on, but the live service is really gonna have to ramp up to keep my interest if I'm only playing warfare. How long can one man play on just 5 maps? It remains to be seen. Sometimes realism in shooters means, hey, your guns suck, and therefore, so do you. Recoil is a thing that exists. Guess what? Not every firearm is a real-life laser beam. So get good. Yo, this marksman rifle kind of sucks ass.
I told you, it's fucking garbage.
Why am I getting 4 shots? What? 2 headshots and he's still alive?
I hate it. The sniper doesn't kill anyone in a body shot.
Yeah, the sniper's so ass.
No, I'm using an actual bolt action.
Oh.
And I would rather use the fucking marksman rifle. This thing sucks. Why does every gun suck?
You have this crazy thing called recoil. I like that Delta Force is not shy of letting you miss your shots or making it harder to score kills, because then it makes it more satisfying when you do. Whereas something like Call of Duty is like, okay, yeah, let's try to get rid of recoil on pretty much every gun. Because players don't like missing their shots. They like killing things. So Call of Duty's a lot more safe in that respect, and I kind of respect Delta Force for being harder to master. But honestly, I think it's just the type of game you gotta get used to or already be familiar with.
I'm not kidding. What is, dude, these guns actually fucking blow, dude. Dude, everything sucks. This game sucks. Every gun sucks. Every fucking thing sucks.
In my first few matches, I was playing like shit, trying to get used to the
That's not a selling point.
fluidity of combat. I can't kill anybody with this fucking thing.
All these guns suck. They fucking suck.
But I broke through that glass ceiling. I proved it wasn't a skill issue. Oh, wait, yeah, I did prove that. I started locking in, and now look at me.
They can't hold much longer.
Holy shit, I'm getting so many kills in here. Yes, I am camping with an LMG, but that doesn't make this any less satisfying. Those moments where you're the only one deep in enemy territory and you just clean house like this, it's so satisfying. You don't need to sprint and slide cancel to feel like a badass in Delta Force. The game emphasizes and rewards strategy, positioning, and teamwork. Yes, you will have to contend with realistic ballistics, somewhat, and how guns actually work. So if you're looking for a more arcadey type shooter with plenty of aim assist and bullet magnetism to carry your god-awful aim, this is not it. Delta Force is for the tactical people, the gun enthusiasts, though it's not quite as hardcore as something like Insurgency Sandstorm. This means quick time to kill, and at times you'll have to leave your shots, taking things slow to get into a good position, and making strategic use of equipment like this respawn beacon. If you like the tactical insertion, you're gonna love this thing. I sure do. Your squad and fellow teammates can place one of these beacons, and it lets you respawn wherever it's placed. So you can hide these in really cheeky positions behind enemy lines and totally massacre their reinforcements as they pour in. I love when FPS games have cool shit like this that rewards you for thinking outside the box, so you're not just mindlessly running into the meat grinder. Combat is not exactly forgiving of mistakes. You gotta be pinpoint accurate and put rounds down range fast, and account for recoil, so if you're caught out, it's very unforgiving. But to offset this fast time to kill, there's like no limits on how many times you can be revived. So with a tight squad, you can keep the Soviet suicide push going constantly. Oh my god, Flick again! Flick, this is like the 5th time Flick has revived me. This is insane. God bless my teammates that actually revived me. Thank you so much. No matter your class, everyone on your squad can revive each other, and any medic on the team can revive anyone. So with the respawn beacon, generous revives, and a short respawn timer, there's a lot less downtime, so you can get back into the action quick. The tactical nature of Delta Force extends to its gunsmith and weapon customization. And would you look at that? They got the Scar H instead of the Mufasa H, or whatever dumb names they're using for real guns in video games these days. Just a nice detail for immersion. But anyways, you're not limited to the amount of attachments on any gun. There's an icon, you can slap something on it. This game thrives on its weapons because, like I said, they're not all laser beams. They have very clear shortcomings that you can drastically improve with the right attachments and setup. The gunsmith is complex, but it's not complicated. For whatever reason, it seems you're only allowed one loadout per class, which is kind of dumb, but you can customize each weapon and then swap to them on the fly during each match. It takes some getting used to. I can tell you that grinding XP for weapons is very generous. In one 35-minute match, my LMG went from level 10 to 23. So luckily, they're not purposely making the grind tedious to encourage you to, I don't know, spend money? And I appreciate that. Thank you for not asking me to get like 2,000 headshots or some dumb shit. The gunsmith is vast, with some firearms having like almost 100 compatible attachments. If you want the best build, you'll be spending a solid chunk of time in here. You can also calibrate certain attachments if you want to further optimize things like recoil, ADS speed, or whatever. And you know what? There's no dumb skins in this. No unicorn fart assassination or anime bullshit. Delta Force might be somewhat of a safe haven for Call of Duty fans that yearn for a military shooter that's still somewhat grounded in reality. Delta Force has something I wish BF1 had more of. Vehicle customization, hot diggity. And not just skins and cosmetics, but a choice of attachments from the cannon to the secondary gun, your launcher. Your options are somewhat limited for each category, but the fact that you even have a choice is amazing. You remember when World at War had that vehicle perk slot? Yeah, it was mostly useless, but just knowing it was there, knowing I had even the slightest amount of agency or control over vehicles made a difference in my mind. Vehicles are a bit limited in their traversal, and they're quite brittle, but if you can keep your tank alive, you will wreak havoc on the enemy team. I feel like most first-person shooters these days have kind of given up on trying to make vehicles work, and even when they have vehicles, it's very rare you're allowed to create a loadout for your tank, helicopter, assault truck, or whatever. Imagine if a new Battlefront lets you customize lasers on tanks, or geez, what if Halo did that? That would be pretty cool. Imagine changing what kind of cannons or thrusters were on a Ghost. So you got that sort of cooperative teamwork element with vehicles, as sometimes up to 3 people can man 3 different guns on a tank. Now, if you do want to use the vehicle, you either get lucky or wait in the respawn menu till it's available, which is a pain, but to counteract this, Delta Force has introduced a sort of kill streak system. You get points for kills, assists, tapping objectives. You can use those points to call in like a smoke screen, a mortar barrage, a respawn beacon, or a vehicle drop. Those are your 5 options. It's simple, but really cool and makes a world of difference because every player has access to these. It's a great feeling when you whoop some ass and are rewarded with being able to call in a tank that fucking explodes before it touches the ground. Thank you. Yes, thank you so much. The vehicle drop is sweet because you can give your team a tank in a section where you wouldn't normally have one. And since points accumulate over time, these bonuses are mostly used at the end of the match. One of them is a fucking Predator missile, but this thing is no joke. I've seen players get 15 kills with this thing. These bonuses are balanced out by a high point cost, meaning you'll have to play really well if you want to call in the more powerful ones. And there's always room to add new weapons, vehicles in the future. Which, speaking of, and Delta Force is seeing some pretty consistent updates right now, and they've promised 8 new maps in the first year. 8 maps. It's true. I mean, that's bold for any FPS title. 8 maps in 1 year. Delta Force's maps are solid. They deliver on that front. And each warfare map offers different kinds of combat. You might go from wide open to mid-ranged and finally close quarters. There's some pretty cool set pieces and enough variety to spice up each map and make it stand out. Like this one where attackers assault the beaches with boats before pushing into some buildings, or a long zip line takes attackers up to the caves. So snipers like to hang up here, and it's nice to see the landscape below as you head down to the battlefront. I expected the combination of operators and classes to not work well at all. like it did in 2042, or that I'd have trouble recognizing enemies because everybody looks the same. That's not really an issue, at least not often enough to be a big problem. I'm kind of stunned, to be honest, but the operator abilities aren't super overpowered. They maintain the integrity of the class system and its dynamic elements, while allowing some choice in what equipment you bring in. I don't like that you have to unlock some of the operators. It's like locking heroes in a hero shooter. Just don't, please. Give each player the access to each operator and everybody will be happy. Now let's talk monetization. Delta Force is free to play, so there's got to be a catch, right? Well, I'd go in depth on the monetization, but I can barely understand it. Looking through the menus is like staring into the gates of oblivion. Mortals simply cannot make sense of what lies within. Multiple battle passes, there's a storefront with bundles and skins. I think there's crates and keys like Counter-Strike, a marketplace where you can exchange weapons you've extracted with, weapon XP tokens, multiple currencies. I can't even keep track of all the tabs, menus, and sub-menus. I suppose it's easy to redeem rewards and finish challenges and unlock things just by playing, but it's honestly overwhelming and kind of off-putting. The monetization is a blemish on an otherwise solid first-person shooter, but luckily you don't really need to buy anything to enjoy the game at its fullest. I mean, I'm just saying, Helldivers 2, Marvel Rivals, they have pretty good monetization, nice and simple. Make it easy for me to spend money, and I just mine. Still, free-to-play games have to make money somehow, and given that the devs are consistently pumping out updates, and that they plan on adding 8 new maps in the first year of release, I suppose there are worse deals in the world of modern gaming. At the end of the day, if you're like me and you love Battlefront 2, Battlefield 1, or any Battlefield title, and you're looking to scratch that itch and relapse, Delta Force is the drug for you, my man. Though initially it's a little hard to get into, once you do, you'll come to enjoy it and see it as a true Battlefield replacement. And that's not even counting the extraction mode or upcoming single player. On the surface, Delta Force might look generic and uninspired, but below the crust lies a pie you'll sink your teeth into. And I recommend it to any Battlefield or COD fan who's looking for a real military shooter to watch the taste of unicorn farts out of their mouth. For what it's worth, Delta Force is filling a lot of holes that COD and Battlefield just aren't right now. But what do you think? Have you tried out Delta Force? If not, are you going to? And if so, what do you think of it so far? Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. Like the video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to the Axeman for more awesome content. All right, everyone, that's all I got for today. This is the Axeman signing out. Peace!
RCXD deployed. We're losing Alpha. We're losing Charlie. Bravo zone secure. They're taking C.
In 2 minutes because he doesn't fucking know what he's talking about. Honestly, these people are. We're gonna have a new segment on the stream, which might never happen again, but I'm calling it a new segment. It's gonna be called Slop Watch, where whenever a slop YouTuber steps out of their lane and talks about something serious, we fact check them. So we're gonna fact check a slop YouTuber who usually talks about like Minecraft streamer drama, but decided to delve in to Israel-Palestine recently out of no reason aside from the fact that they hate Hassan. This is basically it. Like, these people used to make drama videos about gaming YouTubers, but then Hassan came onto the platform. You know, he's on the same platform as the gamers. So now, like, they hate him for getting more viewers than them while talking about things that actually matter. So now, like, in between the videos about like the latest like scandal of like I don't know, Pokimane having an affair with Asmongold's dog or some shit like that. You know, like the gamer World of Warcraft, League of Legends, whatever the fuck. I'm just throwing out words that I don't know what they mean. You now have this guy who has the brain power of like an almond telling us what to think about geopolitics, what to think about genocide. So we're gonna check out what Willie Mack Show has to tell us. Just let's check out the direction of his content. The direction of his content is put someone with lots of followers in the title. There is not a single video on his channel that is not about another YouTuber. And by far the videos that get the most views are the ones about Hassan, so that's why he's making them. So let's check it out. Let's see what he's got to say, and let's fact check him for as long as we reasonably can until it becomes so grating that we prefer not to live anymore. Let's check it out.
Last year I started documenting his sound for his blatantly false report.
Why do you talk like that? Why do you talk like that? What is this voice, for one? This is not a real person's voice. I thought my video voice was bad. What's this?
I was right about Ukraine. That's right. War is not imminent. Oh, shock. Earlier strike hit the Al Ahli hospital. You were so right. They had a 7th.
Like he just puts that in. This is not something that these people like to do. Like they don't actually have to provide proof or evidence for their claims. They just like point at someone else saying something and insist that it's wrong without being able to explain why. People who consider themselves political commentators do that. So obviously a slop YouTuber is going to do it way more.
Thousands of troops. So what's going to end up happening is that by April, this is going to be done. IDF didn't bomb the hospital. Change title. IDF didn't bomb the hospital. Yes, it did.
Does this guy provide any evidence that he didn't bomb the hospital? No, he doesn't. He just insists that it did. And because Hassan said that it did, it must be wrong.
Yes, it did!
I criticize him for being a propagandist, coming to conclusions on breaking news when the story hadn't even been fully reported out.
You right now is the same thing. You are somehow coming to incorrect conclusions about something literally a year later. So you don't even have that excuse.
You always do. I'm just saying.
No,
you're doing it in real time. You're doing it in real time, bro.
Over the course of an 8-hour broadcast, if you look to literally 3 moments,
nobody much as you do that does 8-hour broadcasts.
Because no one has the most psychopathic fandom like idiots like you who can sit through every minutia.
Isn't it great? Like you're just supposed to like look at this and assume that he's right or something. He doesn't actually need to make a lie. He doesn't need to provide any proof of his claims. You just look at this and it's like, well, does he actually do that at some point? Let's find out. It's like, look at all these things and I'm insisting it's sort of self-evidently bad. Because I don't actually know why they're bad. I just sort of have a gut feeling that they're bad. So let me show them to you. Like you saw in the previous segment where I responded to like a clip of Ethan Klein's Zionist compilation. Rather than just showing you the clip and insisting, oh, this is wrong. I told you why it's wrong. This guy shows you a clip and you're just supposed to listen to it, and I guess it's wrong just because he's pointing at it, I guess.
To find a clippable moment. To find a clippable moment to be like, he sucks, he's bad. That's the reason, dickhead. All right.
You followed this up by interviewing a terrorist eating a propaganda about taking hostages.
Terrorist, right? You can just brand someone as a terrorist if you're this fucking white guy who sounds like he's struggling to speak. You're this guy here. You can just say that someone is a terrorist, providing zero evidence for it. Why is he a terrorist? He's an Arab in Yemen. Why else would he be a terrorist, right? Someone who, by the way, like what terrorist attack has he committed? What terrorist attack has he committed? I can point to a terrorist attack that Peter Klein has participated in. What terrorist attack did this guy participate in? Could you point to that for us? Which one? What did he do? I'd like to offer, I believe his name is Rashid Al-Khalidi. We will crowdfund a GoFundMe so you can sue whichever one of these people you choose. This guy could be the easy target. There's precedent for this working because, for example, Sacha Baron Cohen's video Bruno, he framed a random Palestinian grocer as like a terrorist, and he ended up having to pay that guy hundreds of millions of dollars in a defamation case, or at least tens of millions. Rashid, my friends in Yemen, you have a chance at a huge payout here, and we will gladly crowdfund you. Pick like the most egregious of them, calling you a terrorist, and let's get them in court trying to justify that label. I'd love to see that. That would be fantastic.
Again, about taking hostages.
He's saying he hasn't spent much time with Chinese people, but one of the captain was Chinese, and he did class with them, and he danced to music with them, and he was vibing. So he.
This is funny, by the way, because not one of the captains in any of the ships that the Houthis seized in the anti-genocide blockade, by the way, literally a blockade against Western shipping that to put pressure on Western countries and Israel to stop doing genocide. That's what that is. Nonetheless, there was literally no Chinese captain, obviously. How did he talk to a Chinese captain when there is no Chinese captain? What he did is he saw an unrelated video, a TikTok from before this was even happening, of like a ship captain who had docked in Yemen, like doing drugs with Yemenis. A Bulgarian at that, not even a fucking Chinese. Because there's no Chinese captains in Yemen. There's no Chinese captains involved in this at all. So he's talking about a TikTok video that he watched. And these guys say like, okay, that's like dispositive evidence that he's a terrorist. Also, even if he had talked to a captain, how would that make him a terrorist? Is terrorism when you speak to someone who was like a crew member of a ship that was seized in an anti-genocide blockade? Just speaking to them makes you a terrorist? Is that how this works? I would love to get this guy on stream to explain to us his logic and also to get him to present to us his evidence.
He likes them, yeah.
So, I mean, what? That's so crazy.
He's saying that they went over the cruise on these.
Is the entire video just like him rehashing a video that he already made, where you're supposed to look at the clips and just assume that he's correct? that whatever he's implying about this is right, even though he provides zero evidence for you to believe that? Like, the reason why this guy is being called a terrorist by this guy is because he's Arab. That's literally his criteria to be a terrorist, is to be Arab. He could not explain to you what terrorist attack he's engaged in. He couldn't even explain to you what terrorism the Houthis have supposedly engaged in. He could just point to like the anti-genocide blockade, and then if he had to deal with a counter argument on that, he would flop in 2 minutes because he doesn't fucking know what he's talking about. Honestly, these people are embarrassing. Like, who watches this and is just like, yep, you know, he's clearly owning this guy here by just showing a video without being able to refute a thing.
And they like win them over with their charm, and they make them hate America and the U.S. government.
That's so funny. Okay, that doesn't probably take much.
Yeah, hilarious. The crew is still held captive, and Hassan continues to.
Which crew? Where's the Chinese captain here? Where's the Chinese captain continues. Here? Could you point to the Chinese captain for us? Because there is no Chinese captain. Like, we are supposed to believe that stopping ships that are trying to run a blockade to put pressure on countries supporting a genocide, no less, that is terrorism. That is bad. He doesn't need to explain to us why it's bad. He can just point at it because he and his audience are of the same intelligence level, so it works on them.
And Hassan continues to glorify terrorism by playing their propaganda and passing it off.
These are terrorists and this is their propaganda. These are terrorists and this is that. He doesn't even need to prove his initial claims. He just needs to point. Point. It's true because I said so. Don't expect me to actually make any arguments.
His happy musicals.
Speaking of music video, they love walking over like the American flag and the Israeli flag side by side. They will always like march on it. When you said music video, I'm expecting like
you zoomed in on that. Stepping on the American flag and Israeli flag just sort of felt evidently bad, I guess. You know, these genocidal imperialist nations.
Bad example, Chris Brown dancing, you know.
No, they do like, they do musicals. They're very musical people.
Praising their leaders, all while hypocritically defending Russia and China's invasion of their neighbors.
You call Crimea, I call it a part of Russian territory. That's what I call Crimea. I call it Crimea River. Spike the bullet on the Timothy kid. Why? Why would I ever? If I did something that was f***ed up.
Bite the bullet. What? Like, he doesn't even make his argument. He does not make any sort of argument. You notice that, right? He just shows you things and points at them.
By my estimation, I would of course apologize for it. I have time and time again.
Name one time. He can't because he's never owned up to anything. Hassan continues.
You haven't proven anything. You just show clips and insist that you are correct. This is him doing an ad, of course. Moral consistency. Let's check it out, guys. Wait, talking about Jews?
By some of the most inbred fundamentalist hicks.
No, it's not illegal.
It's so beautiful here. I should go to the old city so I can get my fucking shit pushed in by some of the most inbred fundamentalist hicks.
No, it's not illegal. It's not.
It's just talking about Jews. Would it be wrong? I mean, this actually said it was. He probably would. He's probably like a white nationalist. He probably would think it's wrong if he called like guys who fly Confederate flags in the U.S. inbred hicks as well. Moral consistency. Okay, let's check this out. Let's see if the first 3 minutes of the video aren't even original content. It's just him showing clips for like really dumb people to get angry at.
Hassan's politics really baffles me. He just doesn't seem very consistent. When Russia invaded Ukraine, he constantly justified it by saying Ukraine and its army was full of Nazis. This is the same propaganda Russia pushes. Hassan acted like every citizen in Ukraine was on the verge of fascism.
Did he say that he supports the invasion?
The reason why a small amount of nationalist forces gaining prominence is additionally terrifying. It's like Tinder, okay? It can
this clip is, or I can already tell, it's not him saying the invasion was justified because of it. It's just him saying, acknowledging that something existed.
Cause a wildfire of nationalism because it's already baked in to the attitudes of the commoner, okay? Every person already has like a predisposition towards nationalist tendencies. So the issue is when you start legitimizing the nationalist guys, boom, all of a sudden the country could turn fascist like that, okay?
He justified Russia annexing Ukraine.
What?
Constantly.
Regardless of whether he wants it or not, he needs it as a buffer state. Exactly. Russia's historic access into the Black Sea.
How was that him justifying that? That was literally just like an explanation of why Russia invaded. And he takes it as like him endorsing it, I guess.
Crimea, that's like...
He just shows clips and you're supposed to take them the way that he's framing them when they don't even say what he's saying at all, for one. And for two, he doesn't actually explain like what is even going on, why you're supposed to think it's bad. Honestly, this video, it's not transformative enough to be considered free use. It's not. It's not. Like saying one line and then showing 10 clips of someone else is not transformative. Hassan should copyright strike this, 100%. He should just copyright strike this. This would not pass in court for fair use. Hassan should just lawsuit this guy and everyone else who makes videos that are just like 5 minutes of a Hassan clip and then one word of commentary. These people should not be allowed to just make money by taking your clips, compiling them, and saying one sentence every 5 minutes. This is like 3 or 4 times more successful than his usual videos. He should not be allowed to get away with this shit. If you want to make a video criticizing someone, you should at least be expected to like respond to their clips for like at least half the duration that you're playing the clips. Ideally more than the duration that you're playing the clips, but I think that's a fair standard. This is not that. It's him saying one sentence and then he shows like 10 clips in a row. He's not even actually doing anything with the video. It's not transformative in the slightest. There's not like enough commentary here, enough criticism to qualify as fair use.
Okay?
He justified Russia annexing Ukraine constantly.
Regardless of whether he wants it or not, he needs it as a buffer state. Exactly. Exactly. Russia's historic access into the Black Sea, Crimea, that's like historically and ethnically all Russian, majority Russian.
They're Nazis. Everyone's going to be radicalized. But when it comes to a fundamentalist group like Hamas that theoretically would run the country, Hassan doesn't seem to have those same worries. He justifies it by using Republicans as stand-ins for Hamas.
I'm saying that the gay people and the trans people that are living under those conditions in Gaza, right, see Israel as a far larger problem in their existence than they do like Islamic fundamentalism in terms of governance.
That's not even like the same thing. He's talking about like homophobic attitudes in like third world countries, in colonized countries. And he's comparing that to Hassan, mentioning that like the Azov battalion exists at all. In a clip where Hassan didn't actually say that he thought that justified the Russian invasion. This does not make any sense at all. Like, it's just like, this is what I say all the time. These people's strategy is to either point at something and insist that it is by default wrong, or to compare something with something that is obviously different and insist that it's the same.
If we were getting ruthlessly slaughtered by an alien force, I wouldn't give a fuck if someone was homophobic or not. I'd be like, thank you for
Why are you zooming in on this? Like, it's not self-evidently correct. Why are you zooming in on him here? Like, you think that you just got him in like a fucking ownage moment. What's wrong about what he's saying? Can you explain that?
Fighting against the alien force. That seems awesome that you're doing that. I would actually arm up side by side with my fellow homophobic Republican, rabid Christian fundamentalist sociopaths to try and protect my home. And that's the point.
That's the same thing as the Azov battalion fighting in Ukraine. How does he have these conflicting opinions? It makes no sense.
It's not, though, because the Azov battalion in Ukraine is not the only Ukrainian armed group. There's no reason for them to exist. One, the state supports them existing, which is bad. Or two, they have too much power so that the state is too scared to get rid of them, which is also bad. You don't need like a specific armed group for neo-Nazis. In Palestine, Hamas is the armed group. It's the only real armed resistance, aside from other armed groups that you also hate just as much. Ukraine is a country with a real military. Azov is but one unit. So what you do in that situation, if you really want to fight the Nazis, is you just forcibly disband that unit and you take the fighters from it and you distribute them through the rest of the military. Whereas, I don't know if you know this, but Palestine does not have a military. It's not allowed to have one. If Palestine had a military, we would not be having this discussion right now at all. Yeah, I mean, I've never seen anyone say that like Azov kills gays. They're probably homophobic, but has anyone ever said,
made the horrific decision to call Palestinians' culture inferior? Hassan rightfully called him out for this.
These people are not your allies. They are not the same as us. They come from an inferior culture, and it is directly antithetical to everything Western values stand for, and it is an inferior culture in all ways.
It's terrifying. Like, saying they're inferior, saying they're evil, to justify the death and destruction that befalls them is so horrifying.
Because remember, Hassan would never call another culture inferior. He would never do that.
I don't agree in theocracy at all.
But like, wouldn't that mean that it would be inferior?
No, I wouldn't say that any culture is inferior to one another. All life must be cherished. Their lives are no different, even if they disagree fundamentally with you.
But if we just go back to last year, Hassan was justifying China's invasion of Tibet for the same reason. Their inferior culture. He says China's imperialism is good because they focus on taking over their neighbors.
Chinese development and Chinese military action is either irredentist in nature, which is different than imperialist, where it's more so expansive in its own.
This is him explaining concepts. Like, do you think Hassan thinks that irredentism is good? What? This guy sees an explanation, he takes it as an endorsement.
Limited area rather than global imperialism, which is done with the express effort with the
Tibet, Taiwan.
Tibet was literally a feudal slave.
Okay, for one, first thing, he was describing the difference between, say, for example, irredentism, which is like, my country has a right to take this state, this smaller country that is on our border or whatever, versus like American-style globe-spanning imperialism, where it's like, we want to essentially control as much as we reasonably can every single country in the world and force them to pursue our own interests. That was what he was talking about in the first place there, explaining the difference between like China and the US as global powers. He takes an explanation first as like an endorsement. So now let's see what the supposed calling Tibetan culture inferior was.
Feudal slave mandate like autonomous zone.
China did them a favor.
That was one. I mean, in America, when I say something like this, people get very upset. You know, we talk about the Dalai Lama saying "suck my tongue" or whatever, but like that's not far from the norm in normal Tibetan existence before the Communist Party came in and
so China unilaterally took over Tibet, like their culture. They basically are trying to, you know, homogenize the culture.
In the name of squashing an inferior culture, China killed over 87,000 Tibetans. That's 1.2 million, 1 out of every 6 Tibetans.
So let's talk about this comparison for a second here. I think it should be pretty self-evident. So Asmongold said that Palestinians deserve to be genocided because they have an inferior culture, because genocide is literally baked into their laws. That's the quote that he said. For one, that's not true. And he explicitly said they have an inferior culture. Straight up. They deserve to be genocided because they have an inferior culture. And the justification that he came up with to justify this idea was that they have genocide baked into their laws. Now, if you can find the genocide law in Palestinian law, in the Palestinian, you know, legal code, please bring it up for us. You're going to have trouble with that. Now, let us talk about Tibet. What did Hassan say about Tibet? Tibet was a country that had slavery, serfdom. This was bad. When China invaded Tibet, it abolished slavery and serfdom. This was good. Do you think that slavery and serfdom are like protected cultural characteristics? Is that the argument that you're making here? Is that genuinely what you believe? So would you say that it was genocide when the North attacked the southern US and forced them to abolish slavery? Was that genocide, my friend? I would like to see your answer to that question. Now, perhaps slavery and serfdom was indeed the culture of someone in Tibet, you know, like a tiny, tiny economic and social elite. But it certainly was not Tibetan culture. Do you think that most people in Tibet owned slaves and had serfs? Obviously, such a system could not possibly exist. Such a system requires a minority to exercise control over a majority who are the slaves and the serfs themselves. So you compared there someone making up bullshit to justify genocide with someone invoking something that actually really did exist and that really was abolished as a result of the Chinese invasion, which was literal fucking slavery, like a socioeconomic system of oppression. Like the whole video is comparing things that aren't the same and insisting they're the same, apparently. I do not give a shit about preserving the culture of like a tiny slave-owning elite anywhere in the world. Do you? I would hope not. I would hope that you can see the difference in feudal lords in Tibet owning slaves and Asmongold saying that Palestinians believe that in genocide, so they deserve to be genocided. Something which is not true. Asmongold outright said that, you know, Palestinian culture, all Palestinians are inferior. I do not think that saying that slavery is bad and it's good that it was abolished is the same thing as that. This is, by the way, this is the very first thing off Google.
I don't understand how you could be pro-Palestine and then support Russia and China. Israel's neighbors with Gaza. Does that make what they're doing okay? No, of course not.
Do you think it's okay? Have you ever made a video denouncing it? It seems like instead of actually denouncing it, you just attack people who are against it. I wonder why that is. I wonder why you are so extremely laser focused on that. It's almost like you support the genocide and you're too fucking cowardly to say so.
Oh, of course not. His politics makes no sense. It's constant.
Let's be fair to you. I don't think anything will make sense to you. You're too fucking dumb to understand anything. Let's just be real about that point first. Like, of course it doesn't make sense to you. You think that, like, abolishing slavery is an attack on culture. You think that abolishing slavery is genocide. So, yeah, I'd say you're quite confused here. And I think basically anything would confuse you.
Contradicting himself, but then you realize that he's America bad all the time. That's it.
Let me explain to you 2 principles that you should keep with you, coming from a person who's Turkish, okay? When you look at a situation in the Middle East, you look at what the local government is and who the Western forces are. Never align with the Western forces. That's a principle that you could take home with you if you want to actually be moral or if you want to be smart about.
Notice how he can't actually explain to us how this is wrong. Oh, you just say America bad, America bad. Why do you talk like a 12-year-old? Why are we not able to actually engage with what is being said and just show clips? Why? You haven't responded to fucking anything this whole video. You just show clips. Again, Hassan, copyright strike this guy. Copyright strike him, please. If he contests it, take him to court, and then YouTube has to abide by whatever the court says. And I think there's a pretty good chance that the court would say that this does not constitute legitimate fair use because he's not actually making any criticism of what he's saying. He's just saying, here's what he said and showing clips of it. That is not transformative criticism. It's just like a rage compilation.
The way you analyze other countries, that's one basic principle that you can take home
This
with
is
you.
the sort of slop content that should be banned under YouTube term and service. It should not be. People should not be allowed to make money off just showing clips of other people and not adding anything to them.
All of a sudden,
people like this should be working in McDonald's, working in the mines, not making tons of money off this shit.
Magically, you are above on your foreign policy analysis. You're going to be better off than 90% of people that look at the situation.
That's not what an analysis is. That's doing the same thing Sneeko does. And Hassan's always...
Why can you actually respond to him?
Been this way. He doesn't care about principles or being morally consistent.
Do I think that this could be a dangerous precedent? Absolutely. But the right has been doing this for a very long time.
Yeah,
but
and they're
they've been
wrong.
able to,
That's the point.
I know,
the point is they're wrong, and I hate them, and I hate their tactics.
But no one cares about being morally consistent, or no one cares about...
I do. I care about that.
I know
very
you
much.
do, but in the end of the day...
He just wants his side to win at all costs. It's tournament...
Well, yeah, because his side is actually, a side that actually wants good things, and the Republicans want to institute, bad things. I think that's probably why he's saying that. Right? It's fucking obvious, right? You would be sitting there abiding by your principles as Hitler puts you in a camp. Well, no, he wouldn't put you in a camp. You'd be by his side. But you know what I mean. Playing by your morals and principles while people who don't play by them work to, destroy you is probably not a good idea.
Running straight up terrorist propaganda for the past 10 months.
Mamma mia, mamma mia, mamma mia, mamma mia. I'll be making fucking dough.
This segment, if this segment is entirely about Rashid, made 5 days ago, this is months after all of the facts regarding what he actually is, his relation to the Houthis and stuff like that were established. Let's see what he says. Let's see if he digs himself a hole that could possibly result in a big, nice payment for our friend in Yemen.
In the pizzeria.
Assad has been rewriting history when it comes to the Houthi terrorists he did propaganda for. Now he's just...
What makes them terrorists? You never explained to us what terrorism is and why you think they're terrorists.
Some random teenager.
Random fucking Yemeni teenager. The Yemeni kid not connected to the Houthis. And
he is. He is a 19-year-old Yemeni teenager, not from the Houthi tribe, nor from the Houthi organization.
Even
this has
matter
been
if he was.
established for months at this point. For months.
Not only does it not matter to me if he was or not, it would obviously change the dynamic of the interview if he was. Most people don't know that he isn't a Houthi or have seen his post about respecting Jews. I don't really care. They will just say, oh, he's doing PR.
These are all provable lies. When Hassan initially interviewed the Houthi, it was framed as him being a terrorist.
Bro, are we about to have a Houthi rebel on stream? Yes, brother. What do you mean?
It was framed as him thinking that. And then he was corrected in the middle of the interview when the guy was like, no, actually, I'm just a random guy who uploaded TikToks.
Excuse me. Of course I'm about to have I'm a journalist, okay? This is journalism.
When Hassan asked if he was Houthi, the guy did not answer, instead referring to the Houthis' justification for pirating commercial ships.
I don't know if he is allowed to speak on this. I don't know if he's actually a part of the groups at all, or just simply...
He said, no, he doesn't actually know. He said, this is just contradicting the clip for you to show, because he didn't actually know.
TikToker.
You shouldn't show clips that just contradict what you just tried to imply.
You know what I mean? I don't know how to ask that in the best way possible, though.
Yeah, I feel like you can ask it pretty direct. His answer is he's a Yemeni who stands with Palestine.
Hassan will go on to greenlight the...
He's a Yemeni who stands with Palestine, so he did not say that he is a member of the organization or anything. That's your proof that he is? I think you should at least ask a decent defamation lawyer about this.
His mission of attacking civilian commercial ships on behalf of him and his entire chat.
We think
attacking civilian... Look at his fucking face. That is wow, that was incredible. Did you see him?
We think
I feel like
his mission of attacking civilian commercial...
Look at the fake outrage face.
Ships on behalf of him and his entire...
the fake outrage face, the fake gestures, the no chin. He's the guy from the comic strip, and it's where the fuck is your chin? That's this guy.
We think the Houthis, Ansar Allah, is doing what Luffy would do. You should tell him that.
The whole point of this interview was to make this Houthi soldier seem related.
You know how this guy, he does not see any reason to argue not just why this guy is a terrorist. He does not see any reason to argue why it is wrong to blockade ships from countries that are supporting genocide. He does not try to argue, how this guy is linked to that, how the Houthis are terrorists. He does not point to any sort of specific anything. He just feels that it's a default that everyone should agree with. When if you cornered him on this, do you think he could tell you? I'd love to get this guy on stream and say, okay, hands up, show us your hands, no Googling. Explain to us in 5 minutes or less how and why the Houthis are terrorists. Not even that guy, how the Houthis are terrorists. I would fucking love to know that.
He's just like me and you. One of his viewers would point this out and Hassan would tell him to shut up.
Maybe explain why you're trying to get this type of humanity. Okay, shut up, chatter. Come on, that's not that's crazy. What does he have to say to dumbasses that consider him to be a terrorist? What does he think about that? Ask a question. I just banned one of those stupid fuckers in the chat just now.
Frag set.
She says, who are they?
Just fucking dumbasses.
Wow, what an insightful interview. When a viewer offered a real question for Hassan to ask, Hassan ignores it, instead asking about food.
Okay, I want to ask. What else do I want to ask? So, I mean, he's asking if he would stop going on boats if Israel stopped the genocide. I mean, yeah, he's going to say yes, Joe.
They've already said that. That's why the blockade is being carried out. To stop the genocide. And for one, he's not even doing that. He's a guy who visited one of the boats that's literally a fucking tourist attraction that anyone can visit. The organization has straight up said that numerous times.
What are you talking about? Those are like dumbass questions. Has he ever had like Western food?
Great question. It sounds more than an imaginary person.
How dare you treat this guy from Yemen like a 19-year-old guy from Yemen? How dare you treat him like a human being? How dare you try to have a conversation with another human being rather than treating him like a terrorist because of his nationality and the fact that he's against Israeli genocide? How dare you? How dare you, Mr. No Chin here? He's enraged by that. He can't explain to you how and why this guy is a terrorist. He can't even explain to you why the Houthis are terrorists. And for the record, this guy is obviously not even connected to them in any formal manner. But how dare you ask normal questions about himself? They are not to be humanized.
For this guy, where he's not a Houthi, he's not anti-Semitic, he's basically just anti-Israel.
First of all, he wasn't Houthi. I asked him. He was like, I'm not.
This never happened in his interview. He's just lying. When the pirate was asked if he was a soldier on it.
The pirate was asked. So he's a pirate. He's a Houthi terrorist. He's all these things that you would need to actually prove in court.
Instagram, he replied yes. Now his Instagram was banned, but this was still documented in news articles.
What does it mean if he's a soldier anyway? Let's say that he was a soldier. By the way, Keela Klein said that she was a soldier. So, okay, let's say that he said that he was a soldier. Could you explain how that makes him a terrorist exactly? Is being a Yemeni and being a soldier a terrorist?
At the time. And who is the current governing body in Yemen? It's the Houthis. Stop believing.
Oh, so the Houthis you recognize the Houthis as the legitimate government of Yemen. Thank you for that.
Enemy RCXD detected.
Thank you for taking a firm stand against the American foreign policy line that actually the Saudi-backed, Israeli-backed government is the real government of Yemen. Thank you for your recognition. We appreciate it. Terrorist?
In this life from the side.
Many people said, oh, he's hiding it. He's PR trained, which is really funny to say about like some random.
Did you look at that guy? Did you PR train?
Dude, he can't even speak English.
You said that. It was because he wouldn't answer the only two serious questions you asked.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. I mean, I don't know. I feel like he's very media trained, surprisingly. But, okay.
Now, I used to think Hassan just had zero critical thinking skills, but the truth is he's doing propaganda.
And I asked him, like, what do you think about Jewish people? What if I were to tell you that, like, Jewish people are leading the anti-Zionist movement in America? And he was like, that's great. I love them. That's awesome. Anyone who's against Israel is my friend.
Even here, Hassan is completely over-embellishing what was said.
Ask him what he thinks about the fact that in America, some of the leading groups that are pro-Palestine are led by Jewish people who are anti-Israel. How does he feel about that?
He's saying anyone that supports Palestine, we're with.
Hell yeah.
That's it.
Okay. How is that, like, contradictory to what Hassan said he said? Any plans to explain?
That's all he said. The same media-trained answer he's been giving Hassan all night. Hassan goes on and compares him to Anne Frank.
He is a person whose only experience is like, it's literally like...
Yeah. Do you not know anything about fucking Yemen? Yemen was subjected to a 10-year fucking long Saudi-American-Israeli genocide. He's 19 years old. This guy, when that began, he was a fucking child. He was like 9, 10. So yeah, comparing him to another child who endured genocide. Yeah, I would say that is a fair comparison. It's a way fairer comparison than any of the comparisons that you've made here. You compared fucking wanting to abolish slavery to wanting to genocide people for having an inferior culture. I don't know about your capacity to make apt comparisons here.
Like talking to Anne Frank, basically. Okay, being able to talk to Anne Frank. In real time.
Now, I don't remember Anne Frank being part of a militia group that boarded commercial vessels and took
You know what? Maybe Anne Frank should have been part of a militia group that boarded commercial vessels and took captives. Maybe she should have. I wish she would have. Are you against, like, blockades on Nazi shipping? Are you against Jewish resistance to Nazi shipping? Do you think that if Anne Frank was a member of a resistance group, she would have been a terrorist? That's the implication that you're making here. And I'm not sure about you taking that route. It's a pretty bad one. You might want to backtrack that. Like, defending people who were murdered by the Nazis by saying, like, they didn't even take up weapons is implying that if they did, it would have been wrong. You get that, right? These people did. They took up arms against the people who wanted to wipe them out. The Saudis, the Americans, the Israelis. And they grew so strong that as a result of that, they are now able to blockade ships from countries that support an ongoing genocide in another country. They don't have to do that. They choose to do it. And good on them for doing so. If only Anne Frank had survived to be able to do something like this.
Shooting missiles at commercial ships that have nothing to do with their stated mission.
Missiles are commercial ships that have nothing to do with their state limit. No connection to Israel. Do you know that basically like every single ship, every single country in Europe, the US, Canada, Australia, fucking supports Israel. Out the fucking ass. Weapons, trade, everything they could ever want. They get it. Diplomatic support. They get it. So just saying the ship has no connection with Israel specifically is an obvious lie, because by proxy, by that, every fucking ship there has a connection to Israel. Could you imagine this guy arguing against like a British blockade on Germany in World War II, saying like, oh, but they're attacking ships from like pro-Axis countries as well. Okay, and good on them, honestly.
Against Israel. This guy had Twitter, so let's read it. Here's him saying you shouldn't be afraid of the Houthi unless you're a Jew. They are very afraid of this title. Here's him.
So one of the things that these people like to do is they like to weaponize the fact that if you are in the Middle East, Jew is synonymous with Israeli. And the reason for that is that the Israelis have made it synonymous. You know, they like that. Israel, Zionists have worked to make Jew synonymous with Israeli all throughout the world, because they want people to believe that, like, for one, to be Jewish is something incredibly special, and for two, to be Jewish means to be a Zionist. So when you are a Yemeni and you have a genocide being conducted against your country for a decade by the Saudis, supported by the US, who is the principal enabler of Israel, and the Israelis themselves, what does Jew mean to you? It means Israeli. It means these people have just supported. So they use that as a synonym with no regard, as anyone else in the same situation would. Just as people in World War II, you know? Do you think that American soldiers fighting the Nazis only said Nazi? No, they said German. They called them Krauts. You know why that is? Well, because what did they know of Germans, aside from that they were fighting them and they were Nazis? Those American soldiers have not endured, did not endure themselves at the hands of the Nazis anything akin to what this guy has endured, to what Yemen has endured. At the hands of Zionists, at the hands of the Americans and the Israelis. So like, the best that you have against them is that they do not make a distinction. Now, to be clear, Israel does not even want them to make. It's just so self-evidently weak. Like, a Yemeni thinks that Jews are Israelis. A Yemeni who probably has no idea that there are Jews who don't live in Israel and don't want to live in Israel associates the country that claims incessantly that it is a representative of the Jewish people, that is made up of majority Jews who go and massacre people in all of its neighboring countries in the name of what they say is Judaism and Jewishness. You're surprised that that guy would equate Jew with Israeli, Jew with Zionist? You blame him for that, but not the people who made that happen? That's all there is to say about that. It's pretty self-evidently absurd, and imagine this fucking moron trying to argue against it. I could not imagine him trying to argue against anything, honestly.
Be afraid of the Houthi unless you're a Jew. They are very afraid of this title. Here's him insulting his enemies by calling them son of a Jew. He would post pictures on the—
That is a lyric to a song, I'm pretty sure.
A pirated ship saying ready for sacrifice, longing for martyrdom.
Okay. Longing for martyrdom? I've never heard anyone pronounce that word that way in my life. Martyrdom. What, he wants to become like a Rick and Morty character? Is that's the only way that makes any sense, my friend. I love you. Like, it's obvious how out of your depth you are, but the fact that you can't even pronounce the word martyr.
Pictures on the pirated ship saying ready for sacrifice.
What, ready for like, can you not imagine yourself? You can't imagine yourself someone being willing to fight for something bigger than themselves, can you? All that you can imagine is fighting for like the destruction of the social order, so that people are driven to work for Grubhub and deliver you Big Macs for cheaper than they did before. You literally cannot believe that someone would say, yeah, I'm ready to sacrifice myself to fight for a cause bigger than mine, like, you know, against the fucking genocide. To you, this is like self-evidently bad. To a sane human, it is the opposite.
For martyrdom. Just like Anne Frank, he actually invited Hassan to join the Houthi in operations of Israeli ships. This guy...
Like, again, he's implying that if Anne Frank and her family had engaged in armed resistance, it would have been okay for the Nazis to kill them. They would have been bad people. They would have been terrorists. Yeah, because that's the only distinction that he's not actually trying to make a distinction between them as people, between what they have experienced. He's rather just appealing to the fact that Anne Frank did not pick up a gun. That's the only argument that he's made. And that argument takes you to a pretty fucking dark place.
Posted an illustration of what he described to be a Zionist impaled on his stake, saying the executions we will carry out on all Zionists.
Okay, and what is a Zionist? To this guy especially. A Zionist is someone who is currently fucking genociding people in Palestine. What if he said this is the execution that we'll carry out on all Nazis? Would that be wrong? Would that be bad? I mean, no, you would think that's, I'm sorry, yeah, you would think, you're a Nazi, you would think that's fucking bad. You would talk about how it's anti-white racism. You talk about how Cracker is
This guy is anti-Semitic. The Houthi flag states death to America, death to Israel, a curse upon the Jews. And to
I already explained precisely why that is the case. How dare they? How dare they hate Israel and the USA? How dare they hate the people who have done everything possible to make them hate them?
Defends him, saying he's not anti-Semitic, he's just anti-Zionist.
He made a post saying he wants to kill all Zionists and posted a picture of a Jewish person being spiked.
These people are so fucking dumb. Could you imagine this idiot attempting to speak to me live?
To death? I don't think that's what he... What? Yeah, I don't know. Also, I don't even give a shit. This is why this entire conversation is fucking idiotic. It's not a Jewish person. He said, this is, I think if we're... Why am I held accountable for some random fucking 19-year-old in Yemen's tweets? What is happening? How many steps removed are we from this situation? How? How is this the conversation that you want to have right now? I fucking despise all of you, dude.
I mean, precisely. That's really the crux of it, isn't it? This guy is making videos, desperately trying to get views, while sponsored by like fucking personal finance scams, just posting Hassan clips and offering no substantial criticism, no refutation, not even an explanation for what he's trying to imply. While a genocide is happening, that is what he's doing. That is like the level of his engagement with the world. That is what he cares about. Probably the reason why he's so angry about this is just because it perfectly describes him. This part right here, that is you. This is you, my man. He's talking about you. You're desperately trying to spin some clips of Hassan in like any which way and not even trying to explain what you find wrong with them in any sort of detail. Like not in one case have you ever actually directly dealt with it with one of them. And people are being massacred right now. Children are being blown to fucking smithereens. And this is what you're talking about. How much you like disagree with someone for reasons that you cannot explain, who is against all of that. It is so self-evidently absurd and stupid.
I do. I really do. I hate all of you.
You aren't responsible for his tweets, but you're...
What's wrong with this tweet? How can you argue he's not part of the Houthi? Because he posted a video about ships being sunk by the Houthis and said, to every Zionist, I will put this into your stomach. This is for you, this is evidence of him being a Houthi. Not that it would be bad if he was, but I would love for this to be taken to court and for him to be like, Your Honor, he posted a tweet saying that he wants to shoot Zionists. I rest my case. He's a formal member of the Houthi organization.
Constantly playing defense for this guy's anti-Semitism. I want to take a moment and talk about the word Zionist. All it means is someone who thinks Israel has the right to exist, which is...
And all that Nazi means is someone who thinks that Germany has the right to exist as a sovereign Aryan state, right? That's all that it means, no?
90% of Jewish people. No,
this is 90% of Israeli Jews. That was not 90% of Jews. It was 90% of Israeli. He just equated all Jews with Israelis. Did you see that headline? 90% of Israeli Jews. So he just did the thing where you equate Israeli with Jewish. Incredible. And isn't it interesting how apparently Israel should be allowed to have a state at the expense of Palestinians on stolen Palestinian land from which they expelled 800,000 Palestinians and have massacred hundreds of thousands more. Just because they're Jewish and they say they should have it. That's the logic of this guy here. It's the appeal to Jewishness fallacy. If a sufficient majority of Jews want something, that's it. You don't have to make any other argument. Done. Okay, this is taking away. There's no way I'm watching 35 minutes of this guy making a statement confidently, showing a bunch of clips that are barely even related to that statement, providing no explanation for what he thinks was wrong in that clip, and then just moving on as if he's proven his point. It's just going to be the same throughout the video. I've watched way too much of it already, but I mean, yeah, this has been your slop watch. And I give this slop YouTuber a 0 out of 10. At no point did he make a coherent argument. At no point did he provide any evidence for his beliefs. It is so bad that legitimately, if you took this to court for a violation of fair use principles, it would not pass. It would not pass the fair use test.